So, welcome back to our um, long-awaited, anticipated podcast. Should we talk about our last one?
No. We do actually want to thank people for the reception of the last podcast because I personally think it did way better than I expected. And it was 3 months ago.
Yeah. Still got people to this day all over the world saying, "When's that next startups?" Everything German media podcast coming out.
Yeah, well, it's 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 been in the why. Well, let's just touch why hasn't it happened, boys?
Well, we're all in different time zones and stuff, so it's quite sort of hard for us to
Well,
all come together.
we're not me and
Especially,
you.
well, it's easy for me and Kieran,
Yeah,
but it's sort of Will sort of likes to wake up at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon
yeah,
and go
eight.
to bed at like eight a.m.
Yeah,
Wow,
something
that's
crazy
so
like that.
true. That is
you're like
so true.
you're like 8 hours behind us, right?
Exactly.
So it's insane. It's weird. 8 hours is a full working day, right? So uh, if we're recording this at 11 p.m., that would be time normally in the US that someone's at work. Normally in California, sorry, that someone's at work.
Right.
And then when you're free, you're normally free when we're asleep or just waking up for work or whatever. So it doesn't ever actually work out. We always have to go, and we don't mind having to go out of our way to film this, but that's probably why it's been a little bit less. And one of us was in. There was a point where all three of us were in Europe, right?
Right. And I didn't have service when I was in Austria. Like it was terrible. I was literally like taking videos like horizontal or no vertical mode, and then I'd wait till I have Wi-Fi and I'd upload them as if like I was taking them then, and it was, oh man, that was such a hassle.
And how was Worthersee? How'd you like? How was it your first time in Europe, or have you been to Europe before?
That was actually my first time in Europe and first time at Worthersee, and I couldn't have imagined a better way to do it.
Man, that's insane. I mean, I'm jealous of your first time in Europe because my first time in America. Ugh. No, I'm joking. That was fun, but still, it wasn't car related,
Okay.
so I'm jealous instantly. But man, if there was enough planning before, we could have planned to even meet at Weathersea. I don't think realistically it probably wouldn't have happened, but like even just for like a day, just like pshum, hi, pshum, bye. That would have been sick. It would have been so cool.
Yeah, that would have been cool as hell.
But I have possible
Um,
plans for next year at Weathersea, so who knows whether they'll go ahead.
Yeah.
And it'd be awesome if Tom could come, and as well Will. Man, even if we all just
Yeah.
like, because I think we're all safe to say as much as we're all into the same thing, VWs and German cars and stuff like that. We're all members of like different groups. I think you hung out with a bunch of people, Will, when you went. I think Tom would probably hang out with a bunch of different people when he goes, and I'd be the same.
that's right.
But even if it was just for like an hour, we just come together and be like, "Oh, hey guys, nice to meet," or we actually find out that we hate each other, then that would be cool.
Yeah, and there's probably, I'm sure, other people that we'd meet up with, German.
Yeah, of course.
Or,
I
like,
mean, I don't speak a word of anything that isn't English, but I could guess a couple.
oh man, that's the funny thing. Like my German friends were like, "Man, I like the way the Americans talk because it's nice and slow." And when he was talking to one of the auto finesse guys that was there, he was like, "I couldn't understand anything."
They're British, right?
Yeah. They're from UK, and I guess I felt the same way when they were like, "Hey, listen to this person. They're from this part of Germany. They have the funniest accent." And then I'd listen to it, and I'm like, it sounds the same to me.
Yeah. Well, do me and Tom sound different to you?
No, not to me.
I mean, you're quite southern, aren't you? You're not actually. You don't live in South England, but you're quite
No.
southern, aren't you?
I was born all the way down south. Like,
Yeah,
pretty
that's what I
much
thought.
as far down south as you can go. But over the years, I've moved up north and sort of
I can hear northern in your voice. For
yeah,
sure,
yeah. I don't have a complete southern accent, but I
Yeah.
don't have a complete northern accent
Yeah,
as well. So everyone thinks I'm like posh up here, just because I don't speak like an actual like Yorkshire northern person. But down
Yorkshire,
south, down south, everyone thinks I'm a fucking like
proper northern, like
cowboy or something.
All right, and then on to the cars. We have a topic today that Will suggested a couple of days ago. You may have forgotten about it, Will, but
No, I remember.
I don't have one, but I can't have one, but it's cars you regret selling most, or the single car you regret selling most.
Oh, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah, I did think you're still on your
one. I'm on my first fucking car. Like
let's talk about the day you sell it.
Okay, well then, if not cars, we could say, what do you regret? What wheels do you regret getting rid of, possibly, or part?
Oh, okay, I can do that.
Okay, good. Well, I don't.
One pair of wheels, but I regret it.
Okay. Should I? Who's gonna go first? Should we go with the wheels first? Yeah, let's go with the wheels.
I've got a good story.
Go.
Okay.
All right, so everyone knows I've got a Mark 5 Golf, right? I bought these Cades Tyrus, the sort of like deep dish, multi-spoke, sort of BBS style sort of thing. They're nice alloys.
Sorry, just to interrupt. Google the pictures if you want to see them. We're not putting pictures on podcasts anymore because we upload them to iTunes and stuff. We want it to be like universal. So, sorry, carry on.
Good shout that. But yeah, if you want to Google them, they're Cades Tyrus, and they were 19 inches with like 42 ET or something, which just did not fit a Golf like at all. I had max rear camber in the rears, and it was just awful. So basically, I went to pick these alloys up, and then I came back. I had them in the boot, and I was like, "Do you know what? I'll fit them tonight. Like, screw it." So I was with a mate, and we decided to drive to a pub. Had like half a cider, half a drink, and then I fitted these alloys at this pub, like at 9 o'clock at night. Bearing in mind it's like pitch black in the winter, so I'm fitting these alloys. I've got it jacked up, and I fit all the alloys, and they just do not fit. They do not fit. I had to do like loads of arch work to get them to fit nice, and I was like, screw it, I'm just going to drive home. I can't even be bothered to put my other wheels back on, and they were fouling the rear shocks. So it was like metal on metal contact the entire way back, and it was just grinding against my arches.
Oh, snap.
But yeah, it was the worst drive home that I've ever had, like ever. There was just really like awful noises, and just everything was rubbing. The tires were rubbing, like, metal on the back of the barrels was rubbing. Like, it was just awful. I was like, do I do loads of work to the car, like roll the arches, and put like loads of camber on it and make it look mad, which, to be fair, it wouldn't have looked bad, like, because they were deep dish alloys. It would have suited it. But on the other hand, I didn't want to like completely mess my car up, because it's not a car that I'm wanting to keep, because it's got a really rubbish engine. So I just decided to sell them, which I sort of regret, because they would have looked nice. But yeah, ended up selling them for about 600 quid, which were decent. And yeah, that's the only pair of alloys I've ever sold. So I've just kept everything else I've got. Well, I've got some BBS RMs,
there we go,
BBS Monzas and stuff like that. It's just like general stuff. But yeah, that's me.
My car's pretty much being built around its wheels right now. And previously I got some ATS cups, and so my car came with like 13-inch wheels originally, and then I went up to 14, and obviously that didn't fit. And then the rear arches were designed to they were designed to like naturally tuck, basically, but these other wheels that I got,
the rear Polo
Bread Van ones
are crazy.
Yeah, they're stupid. But yeah, so I rolled them, which is like the worst thing you can do, but I did it anyway. And made that my little ATS cups fit. Had them for like a year, and then I got bored of them and got some Rotor BB8s. And they're my favourite wheels I've ever owned, and they're my favourite wheels ever. They're not made for a car.
Nice, they are.
They're like MX-5 wheels.
Nice.
They're definitely Japanese car type thing, and like literally the Japanese people. I mean, the people that are into Japanese cars that see them are just like, yeah, they don't belong in your car. Oh, what are you doing? And even more so, they don't fit my car. Like they just don't. So
PCD, or is it just like width and T and stuff?
everything. If they
Right.
if they didn't have tires on, they'd be fine.
Right.
I don't know why we have to. I don't know why we don't have rails on the road. But yeah, so made my car fit my wheels, and now it's going through extensive work to make them fit even better, which I'm very excited for. But it's just because I love them wheels so much, and I know what will happen in a year. New wheels, you'll be back in the body shop for another 7 months. So yeah, but yeah, other than that, I don't really have any cars I regret selling. I have one, but it's a Peugeot. My first car was a Peugeot 206.
You're joking me.
Yeah, my first car.
What?
I loved
this
her.
This is a Volkswagen
I know.
VAG chat, right? What are we doing?
It was just first car love. I literally spoke to someone. Today and was saying that, like, I had a Peugeot 206. Do you know what that is, Will?
Persia, like Prince of Persia.
It's so crazy. This guy's American. I'm going to talk about it anyway, and then we'll show you pictures after. But yeah, so the Peugeot 206.
Peugeot 206.
Persia car.
Yeah, Peugeot 206, like the numbers.
Do they even have Peugeots?
Pugo,
right? Because they say it wrong. It's fine. So anyway, I had one of them, the 206, and it was my first ever car.
Pugia.
And it's genuinely the first ever car that I fell in love with, I guess. And I was just like, man, this thing's a beast. And I was driving down the road one day, and someone drove into the back of me, and that wrote it off. And I don't know. I was just like, I wasn't excited about getting a new car or anything like that. I just wanted my freaking Peugeot. To the point I bought it back off the insurance company, and I kept it up until last year. But since then, I had like 5 cars, and it wasn't until the 6th car that I got my bread van, my Volkswagen. And I was just like, okay, cool. Well, I'm in love with this now, and this is what car love feels like. So I'm ready to get rid of Betsy, and now she's gone. And someone sent me a picture the other day of her parked up, like, I don't know, like 30 miles away. I'm just like, man, I wish I never sold that car. But it's a Peugeot, and I'm a German guy, so, you know, or a Peugeot, whatever he said.
Pugo.
Yeah, that. But yeah, that's the only car I ever regret selling. I mean, and it's not even a massive regret. It was a regret up until, I'd say, about a year ago.
About a week ago.
But then Volkswagen is life. Volkswagen is love. What about you, William?
So you got over it like an ex-girlfriend sort of thing. Took about a year.
It is literally that. Yeah, it is about. So I got the car in 2012. No, 2012 I got the car, and then I sold it. It wasn't even mine at that point. So I got the car in 2012. It literally got written off the same year. Someone drove into the back of me, and I kept it for 2013, 14, 15, 16. 2 years, I'd say, actually. I kept it on the drive. Because, you know, when your car gets written off, you can buy it back from the insurance. I don't know if you can in America, but you can in England. So I bought it back from the insurance for like 300 quid. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to get it back on the road. And then, no, I moved out of my mum's house, and the car was still there. And then my dad, who doesn't live with my mum, was just like, yeah, do you want me to fix it up for you? He fixed it for me. And by then, I think I was either on my BMW or I had my Polo. And I was just like,
You've had a Beamer?
Yeah, I had a 3 Series E36 for like a couple of months.
Bavaria.
But yeah, so by then I was on that, and I was just like, I'm not going to really want to drive this Peugeot around, to be fair. So I said to my dad, yeah, can you fix it up? It'll be cool to sort of just have it. He fixed it, and then he drove around in it for so long that I was just like, you know what? It's like yours, get rid of it or whatever. And then he sold it. As long as I got my baby Polo, I'm good.
She's a keeper.
What about you, Will?
There was this Mark II Jetta, and it was 16 valve, had Recaros, power windows. It needed some work here and there, and I found it on Craigslist, which is like our classifieds, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. I know you guys have I know you have Craigslist too, but then you have
I thought Craigslist was just like
Gumtree, I think you have, or something.
Gumtree.
Like
yeah, Craigslist is a bit rubbish over here because I find that with a lot of American websites, the user interface is really simplistic and it's ugly. I don't know if that's just me. Have you ever been on so I've bought quite a bit from like American websites and stuff. Even while I was in America, there was a couple of things I was looking at that weren't to do with cars and stuff. But I was just like, these websites are disgusting. It's like British people, they like pictures. All right.
Right.
Americans, they're fine with just text and the occasional picture. But yeah, we want like, you know, fancy buttons and stuff like that. Americans, they're cool. They're fine without. But yeah. Jetta from Craigslist.
Complete utilitarianism.
Yeah.
So I got this car and it I pretty much got it, I believe, for $1,100, $1,100. So it was a stupid good deal. I mean, it had the original BBS 14 or 15 inch, nothing special, but it was super original, big bumper GLI, 16 valve, and
I love
at the
those cars,
time,
bro.
yeah,
Just don't
man,
like cut in.
I was searching like when I was in this zone of Mark IIs. I'm trying to remember what I owned at the time, but anyways, I called the guy. I messaged him. It was like midnight. It was kind of late. And the guy had just posted it up. It's like, man, let me go check out the car, yada yada. And I went the next day. He's like, man, people have been blowing me up. I'm pretty firm on the price because I'm sure there's somebody else who will come. You just got first dibs. So I grabbed the car, and it had one issue. Like, it couldn't get past like 4K RPM, and that really bugged me. I was like, yeah, I'll fix it later. And I ended up lowering it, Coney lowering springs. I set up the rear with like subs and amps, and it was really clean. It's such a pain in Jettas with the trunk when you're trying to make any sort of trunk setup, and then the rear seats don't fold down, so it's like you're really squeezed into that trunk when you're trying to do any sort of trunk setup.
Yeah, that's my only thing with saloons. Is it's just a bit
Yeah,
awkward.
the new ones are a little better. I mean, when the seats go down.
Yeah, yeah.
So I put some work into it. It was really clean. The gray Recaros were in good condition, and I couldn't fix that one issue. And I ended up selling the car at a profit, which was like, I don't know, maybe 1,400 or 1,500. Just made a couple hundred on it, and I don't know. Ever since then, I was like, it wasn't worth it to sell it. I should have fixed that one revving problem where it wouldn't make it past 4 or 5K. And I was like, I got a good deal on it. I could find another good deal. And I'm sure a lot of people have experienced this listening to this. Like, you get a good deal on a car and then you end up selling it. You're like, make a couple $100. I could find a good deal later. And then you're like, crap, it wasn't worth a couple $100. I shouldn't have sold it.
Yeah, I have a friend that pretty much never sells anything for that reason. And he's got, at the moment, he's on like Nintendo stuff. He'll buy it and just keep it forever. And he's like, oh, if someone comes along with the right offer, then fair enough. But it's always like, you can always get more. He for a while had like 1 million on one Peugeot 205s because they were like worth loads, and then he sold them all. It was just like, yep, they're pretty much done now. But I think everyone's had that, or that moment where you see something for sale, you really want to buy it, but something stops you. Like, you can have the money and everything, but you just don't buy it. You see it sell, and then you're just like, I should have bought it.
Yeah, that's a pretty common
I should have
phenomenon.
just bought that and sold it straight away. I'm such a mug. But yeah, that's another thing as well. That's probably the thing that I do most. I just browse eBay all day, just like, no, yeah, and then I see something sell. I'm just like, damn, that cheap, damn. I'm just like, this sucks. But yeah.
Yeah, it's funny too because it's like when it sells, that's when the regret kicks in. It's like it could be up for a week.
Yeah,
once
pretty much.
It sells.
People do the same thing with car parts as well. A lot of car parts people just buy unnecessary, ugly car part that's rare, I guess.
Right. A lot of Mark II front ends. I mean, it's hard to beat the stock.
The only thing I have like against rare car parts is just because it's rare doesn't mean it looks good. That's like the worst statement you can ever make. Yeah. But like sometimes people will buy something like some Heckle blends. To be fair, all Heckle blends look good on a Mark 1 or a Mark 2 Golf, in my opinion. But some Heckle blends people will buy just because they're super rare. Louvers are another thing that people buy because they're super rare and they fit them. And I'm just like, ugh, that is. If there was 1 million of those, you would not put that in your car. But because because it's rare, you're just like, oh my god, I want this so bad.
Some people might be upset at me for this, but I believe Westy front end is kind of like that.
Oh really? Like, is that the square one?
The square one, yeah. I'm like,
I quite like them. I don't.
It's definitely a European thing. It's for sure a European thing because I love a Westy front end.
It's proper. I think it's proper German.
Yeah. They're so cool.
even though it's only from the U.S.
Yeah, but that's also the thing. It's like you always want what you can't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess maybe but then maybe that's just the whole because it's rare. Maybe if there was loads of them over here, we'd probably feel the same way. But I definitely I dig a Westie front end.
It does kind of fit. I mean, boxy with boxy, but I mean, they've grown on me a little bit just because I've seen how much other people love them. But when before I actually this is another regret. Like I had a Westie front end. I don't remember if I had the grill, but I for sure had the support. Actually, I think I did have the grill. And when I was moving, I threw it out because this was like 7 years ago, and
you threw car parts away.
I know,
like they went in the trash.
Yes, brother. I know.
I can't believe that.
Oh man,
genuinely.
I know.
I'm such a hoarder with cars. But then at the same time, maybe you should kick you out of the podcast. Yeah, unfollowed. Screw that kid. He sells car parts. He doesn't even sell them. No, to be fair, I'm the opposite. I will keep everything. Every nut and bolt that's fallen off of my car. Just it's in the shed, mate.
Well, we moved from a house into like a relative's apartment, something like that. Like we went from like a yard and a garage to like don't even have our own rooms sort of thing. So I had to get rid of a lot of crap. But when we had that house and we had a backyard and a garage, man, I was hoarding parts. I was going to the junkyard.
I can't remember what there was like a rare dashboard for a bread van. I don't even think it was rare. It's just brown. And again, it comes into the category of rare and looks bad, but is good because it's rare. And I threw one of them out because I did not want it. And at the time as well, it's just like, no one's buying this. No one wants it. So I'm gonna sell it. It was on sale for sale for like 6 months or whatever. Because
right, I had the same issue. I had the Westie up for sale, and it was all from people who wanted it, even in the U.S., but they were on the west or the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's really hard to ship this because of the support in the middle. Like it juts out, and I was like, well, I could cut it, and then I could just fit it in like this rectangle box. But nobody's like, no, once you cut it, it's a salvage car part.
Yeah. I don't know that. Like I stripped down an entire bread van basically, and nowadays, I mean, I'd do it again. But people just especially like bread vans and old Polos and old Golfs and stuff. I think if you're stripping it down to use it and actually like utilize the parts that you get rid of. So like I used the engine, I used the interior, I used all sorts from that car, mainly the engine to be fair, the suspension and stuff like that. But if you're using it down, if you're stripping it down to use it, fair enough. But if you're just buying something that's perfectly reliable and then just stripping it down, it's just like, ooh, you should probably sell that as a whole car sort of thing. But now if you strip something down, man, people go crazy at you. Like Mark II Spares Matt.
Yeah, my man.
He's a pretty cool guy. Does he buy full cars and strip them down, or does he buy salvage cars? And because I've only just started following him.
I don't know. I think he goes into like I think he's like Doctor Strange, and he goes in a little portal that takes him to Mark II world, and then he comes back.
Doesn't he have a lot? Anything. This is like free advertising right now.
Where's he getting it?
Yeah. It's insane.
Yes.
We should speak to him.
I think he buys like Mark IIs that are for braking and from scrapyards and stuff. I got my my fuel lines, the underbody fuel lines for my Mark II from him, and he was like, they were good price and they weren't like massively tip-top condition, but you're not gonna get something from tip-top condition out of something like that
for sure.
If you know what I mean. But I mean, they worked, and my Mark II is working, so
we should see if he'll come on and talk to us.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to actually speak to someone who has some idea of stripping down a Volkswagen, and does he? It'd be cool to know. Like, do you go and buy a new Volkswagen and strip it down? Not a new Volkswagen, but like a running one, or do you just go for salvage or something like that? Just general questions like that, and like I don't know. It'd be cool to speak to someone that actually does it, as opposed to like me and you, because I think a lot of people think to buy a perfectly running polo per se and just strip it down, they'd be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you did that." But
Yeah, unless it had like some paperwork problems where you
Yeah.
couldn't register it or something like that.
but also
Um,
like, I guess a polo, like they're not actually that popular, but they're expensive. Like, as in, like, it's almost not worth stripping down a polo because they're not so popular. They're popular, but they're not half as popular as a Mark II Golf. Mark II Golfs seem rarer or whatever. They're definitely more popular than a polo, so it would make sense to strip that down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It makes sense. Yeah, it make more sense to buy a Mark II and strip that down. I feel like you'd make a profit out of it, which is obviously what it's for, than buy loads of 10 Mark II polos and strip them down. I don't think you'd make much money there because I just don't think you'd get the parts sold. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, it's an uphill battle if you tried to go that route.
Yeah. But we should maybe we should leave that to the expert and wait to talk to someone about that. That'd be pretty cool to get someone like that on. I don't know. Do you think he'd ever come on?
I think so.
Yeah,
message
well,
from-
I don't see why
yeah.
it wouldn't. Like, you know, at the end of the day, at least it's like a bit of publicity for him.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Even
I mean, he does sell, you know, most of the car parts that we're posting. All right, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. Whatever you're on, iTunes or YouTube or whatever we're posting it to. Make sure you give the stream, it's not a stream, is it? What is it? Podcast. Give the podcast a follow, whatever you're listening in on. And yeah, so my name's MK2 Hub.
I'm Stardubs,
We're the Dub Media.
There we go. There we go, boys.
and we'll see you next time. Hopefully not in 3 months either.
Yeah, that's all.
Yes.
All right, bye.
See ya.
All right, cheers.
Cheers. That's such a UK thing to say.
Cheers, mate.